You thought you could keep us invisible, Reuben Jacobs sneered, standing tall at the polished podium of the downtown gala. His expensive navy suit tailored to perfection, lights reflecting off the crystal chandeliers above, every flash of the camera catching the smug curve of his smile, while Selma Taylor, in the back, her posture unshakable, held Kamaria's small hand, her eyes glinting with a quiet fire that had been forged over 15 years of relentless determination and unyielding resolve. The hum of the crowd fading as whispers began to ripple through the audience, the click of heels on marble echoing like drumbeats as mother and daughter stepped into the grand hall, Selma's dark crimson gown flowing, every thread shimmering under the warm lights, her presence commanding, yet composed, her expression calm, concealing the years of struggle behind a veneer of grace, and Kamaria, now 17, her hair perfectly coiled, eyes sharp and observant, stepping forward beside her mother, carrying with her an aura of competence and confidence that filled the room, the murmurs rising as she set a thick leather-bound portfolio on the table in front of the waiting executives and journalists. Reuben's eyes flicked from mother to daughter, recognition dawning slowly, his jaw tightening as he realized the blueprint inside Kamaria's hands represented the empire he had spent decades building, now poised to pass into the hands of someone he had once dismissed as insignificant. And the cameras, ever vigilant, captured every second of his incredulity, flashes firing like tiny bursts of revelation, while Selma's lips curved slightly into the faintest of smiles, her grip on Kamaria's hand firm but gentle, signaling not just familial support, but an unspoken command of the room, the murmurs crescendoing into a wave of astonishment as Kamaria began to outline her vision, her voice steady, articulate, and unwavering, filling every corner of the hall with authority that belied her age. Reuben stepping back, the weight of history pressing against his shoulders as he recalled the cruel words he had once thrown across a high school auditorium, mocking Selma for her height, her appearance, the color of her skin, failing to see the strength and brilliance that had been quietly growing in the shadows all these years, the audience shifting in their seats, captivated, the magnitude of the reversal sinking in as Kamaria revealed the first steps of a strategic initiative that would expand the family's business holdings beyond anyone's expectations. The air thick with tension as Reuben processed the realization that the power he had once wielded so arrogantly was slipping from his grasp, Selma standing beside him, unwavering, her eyes meeting his for a fleeting moment, conveying both vindication and restraint. And as the final slide illuminated the projected empire poised to be inherited by Kamaria, the crowd erupted with whispers, gasps, and flashes capturing the decisive moment, leaving Reuben frozen, silent, a man confronted by the consequences of underestimating the resilience and brilliance of the woman and daughter he once mocked, the lights casting long shadows across the polished floor, reflecting a story far from over, a reckoning only beginning, and a future in which silence, dignity, and persistence had reshaped the balance of power entirely. The gala hall seemed to hold its breath as Selma guided Kamaria toward the long oak table at the center of the room, polished to a reflective sheen, every guest shifting their weight in silent anticipation, the soft click of cameras blending with the low murmur of conversation, the chandeliers casting warm pools of light over the gleaming marble floor, and Kamaria, stepping forward with unwavering poise, laid out the comprehensive strategy she had developed, the detailed charts and projections, aligning perfectly with the family empire, showing growth, innovation, and expansion in ways that left seasoned executives whispering in admiration. Reuben standing at the edge of the crowd, hands loosely clasped in front of him, the sharp lines of his tailored suit only emphasizing the tension in his posture. The memories of high school laughter and mocking comments pressing against him as he watched the daughter of the woman he had once underestimated command the room effortlessly, her voice clear, precise, and filled with authority, the room hanging on each word as she described upcoming acquisitions, corporate restructuring, and the vision for an inclusive and forward-thinking enterprise, every sentence building on the last, weaving a tapestry of competence and determination. The subtle glances exchanged between Selma and Kamaria conveying a shared understanding that their rise had been earned through years of patience, hard work, and unwavering dedication, and the audience, sensing the shift in power, leaned in, some rising slightly in their chairs, others snapping photos or exchanging quiet nods of approval, while Reuben felt the weight of history pressing on him. The realization that his previous arrogance and dismissal had paved the way for this moment settling in, a mixture of awe, regret, and recognition coursing through him. And yet, there was no bitterness in Selma's eyes, only a calm, quiet satisfaction. A mother watching her daughter step into her rightful place. A silent statement that justice had been served without the need for confrontation. The empire, once firmly in Reuben's control, now standing at the threshold of change, guided by the intellect, vision, and unwavering spirit of Kamaria. The soft hum of conversation rising to a crescendo as attendees began to whisper among themselves about the remarkable transformation, the strategic brilliance, and the undeniable presence of the two women. And as the evening progressed, the chandeliers reflected off polished surfaces, casting long shadows and highlighting every confident step, every calculated gesture, every precise turn of a page in Kamaria's presentation, the air thick with anticipation, the narrative of their journey slowly imprinting itself on the minds of all present. And Reuben, realizing the depth of what he had underestimated, allowed himself a moment to observe quietly, no interruption, no correction, just the silent acknowledgement that the tides of influence and respect had shifted irrevocably, the gala continuing around them, a testament to perseverance, intellect, and the quiet yet overwhelming power of dignity and legacy carefully built over years. And as the final slides illuminated the room, showing projected growth, new leadership structures, and the integration of innovative initiatives, the soft murmur of approval spread like wildfire, the cameras capturing the decisive and transformative moment, Selma's gentle but firm guidance beside her daughter reinforcing a narrative of resilience and measured triumph, leaving Reuben standing silently, absorbing the magnitude of the reversal, the realization that patience, vision, and unwavering ethical strength had created a new reality, one that could not be contested, and one that hinted at future chapters yet to be revealed as Kamaria's hands gestured with precision across the plans, her eyes locking with those of seasoned board members, her mother, and even Reuben himself, signaling that the story of redemption, leadership, and rightful inheritance was only beginning. As the evening progressed, the atmosphere in the gala hall shifted, a subtle current of admiration and respect flowing through the guests as Kamaria continued her presentation with precise confidence, her hands moving gracefully across the charts and reports, the warm lighting highlighting her focused expression, while Selma stood a step behind, her presence calm and commanding, reinforcing the narrative of composed authority that had defined their journey. Every glance between mother and daughter a silent exchange of understanding and shared pride, and Reuben, still at the edge of the room, could not avert his eyes, the recognition of his earlier misjudgments settling deep within him as he observed how effortlessly Kamaria navigated questions from board members and journalists alike, her answers articulate, well-informed, and imbued with an assurance that commanded attention without a trace of arrogance. The room reacting with murmurs of approval, subtle nods, and flashes of cameras capturing each decisive moment, the polished floor reflecting the chandelier light and the intensity of the scene, the air charged with anticipation and awe, and Kamaria began outlining strategic collaborations, innovative initiatives, and plans to enhance corporate responsibility, each point delivered with clarity and authority, the audience leaning forward, captivated by her vision, while Reuben felt the weight of history pressing upon him. The echoes of his past condescension and dismissive remarks towards Selma replaying in his mind as he realized the consequences of underestimating resilience and talent. And yet, there was no confrontation, no public spectacle, only the quiet, undeniable shift of influence and respect that emanated from the two women, the murmurs rising as attendees began to comprehend the magnitude of the transformation, their voices blending into a low hum of astonishment and admiration, the chandeliers casting long reflections across the room, accentuating every movement, every confident gesture. And as Kamaria concluded the initial segment of her presentation, the audience erupted in applause, the sound rolling across the marble floor. Capturing the acknowledgement of accomplishment and the recognition of a new order, Selma's subtle, proud smile mirrored in the eyes of the attendees who sensed the story of perseverance and triumph behind it. Reuben standing silently, absorbing the magnitude of the reversal, the realization dawning that leadership, dignity, and vision had shifted to hands he could no longer claim, and the moment lingered, rich with anticipation for what was to come next, the lights reflecting off polished surfaces, the murmurs continuing to swell. The stage set for further demonstrations of competence, strategy, and ethical leadership, and Kamaria, sensing the audience's engagement, prepared to unveil the next layer of her plan, the empire poised for transformation, guided by intelligence, collaboration, and the subtle yet commanding force of her and her mother's combined presence, leaving Reuben to stand quietly, a witness to a reckoning built over years of determination and respect, the soft glow of chandeliers highlighting the poised figures at the center of the room, hinting at the next chapter in a story of silent triumph, meticulous planning, and an irrevocable reversal of expectations. The room had settled into an attentive silence as Kamaria, with Selma quietly observing beside her, began to unveil the next phase of the expansion, each slide meticulously detailed, the soft hum of the projector blending with the ambient murmur of the audience, the chandelier lights casting a gentle glow that highlighted the precision of her movements, her hands guiding the viewers through complex financial models and innovative strategies that promised to elevate the empire to unprecedented heights, while every eye in the room followed her with rapt attention, absorbing each point, each carefully constructed plan, and Reuben, standing at the periphery, felt the shifting weight of influence pressing down, the echo of past arrogance mingling with a dawning respect for the unwavering competence displayed before him. Yet Selma remained composed, her expression calm, radiating quiet authority, reinforcing to the crowd the story of a journey defined by resilience, intelligence, and unyielding determination. And as Kamaria described the strategic partnerships she had nurtured, the projected growth, and the inclusive corporate culture she envisioned, the audience leaned forward, captivated, their whispers now a low, collective acknowledgement of a power redefined, the polished marble floor reflecting the light and the gravity of the moment, cameras clicking softly as every detail was captured, every nod of approval noted, and as the presentation progressed, Kamaria's voice carried effortlessly, a steady cadence that commanded attention without demanding it, articulating her vision with clarity and precision, the data, the projections, and the proposed innovations coalescing into a narrative of strength, foresight, and ethical leadership, the murmurs rising and falling in waves of admiration and surprise, while Reuben processed the magnitude of the transformation, the realization of what had been overlooked for years settling in with quiet intensity. Yet Selma's presence beside her daughter remained a pillar of reassurance, her eyes conveying both pride and a subtle reminder of the journey that had brought them to this point, the soft reflection of light from the chandeliers highlighting every gesture, every slide, every carefully measured step across the polished floor, and Kamaria moved to the next segment, revealing innovative technologies, sustainability initiatives, and mentorship programs that would redefine not only the company but the perception of leadership itself. Each announcement met with appreciative murmurs, discreet clapping, and approving glances, the audience absorbing the narrative of a mother and daughter transforming the trajectory of an empire with intellect, patience, and unwavering dignity. While Reuben remained rooted in his spot, the echo of past mockery a sharp contrast to the commanding presence and undeniable authority before him. Realizing that the legacy he had assumed was secure now lay in the hands of those he had once underestimated, the soft ambient lighting capturing the intensity, the tension, and the eventual triumph, the polished surfaces reflecting the steady confidence and ethical strength of Selma and Kamaria, leaving the room with an impression that power, respect, and leadership had been irrevocably reshaped, a transformation both subtle and profound, signaling a new chapter where diligence, intellect, and silent perseverance commanded the stage and the attention of all present, the atmosphere thick with anticipation for the continued evolution of this redefined empire. The room held a charged anticipation as Kamaria advanced through the final section of her presentation, the soft click of her polished heels echoing on the marble floor. Each step measured and confident, the chandeliers casting golden light that danced across her face, and the smooth surface of the oak table covered in meticulous charts, graphs, and projections, while Selma Taylor stood just behind, her presence calm and composed, her eyes conveying a quiet pride and unwavering assurance that mirrored the diligence and persistence that had shaped their journey over the past 15 years, and every attendee leaned in, captivated by Kamaria's poised delivery, her voice clear and precise, each sentence weaving a narrative of competence, ethical leadership, and visionary strategy that left no room for doubt. The soft murmur of excitement growing into whispers of admiration as she outlined initiatives designed to enhance sustainability, corporate responsibility, and community engagement, each plan demonstrating a keen understanding of both the human and business aspects of the empire, while Reuben Jacobs, standing at the edge of the hall, felt a sinking awareness of the transformation unfolding, the echoes of past arrogance and dismissive remarks lingering in contrast to the undeniable authority and presence emanating from mother and daughter. And as Kamaria gestured toward a series of projected growth opportunities, the audience responded with subtle nods, clicks of cameras, and rising murmurs, the polished floors reflecting the intensity of the moment, capturing the delicate balance of tension, admiration, and recognition. And Selma's quiet smile reinforced the story of resilience, preparation, and disciplined patience that had led them here, the soft glow of the chandeliers accentuating the graceful, commanding movements of Kamaria, her articulation precise, and her confidence contagious, as she detailed collaborations, innovative programs, and mentorship opportunities that would secure both legacy and influence. And the audience, composed of executives, investors, and journalists, absorbed every point, every strategic nuance, every calculated insight, realizing the magnitude of the shift in power and leadership, while Reuben's posture stiffened as he silently acknowledged the remarkable shift, the realization dawning that influence and respect had migrated away from him to those he had underestimated. Yet Selma and Kamaria remained composed, their silent communication and subtle gestures conveying both command and elegance, the room reflecting their control, the soft lighting emphasizing every purposeful movement, every carefully considered word. And as Kamaria concluded her presentation, detailing the final strategic initiatives and next steps for the enterprise, the audience erupted in appreciative murmurs, discreet applause, and the flashes of cameras capturing each decisive moment, the narrative of resilience, intelligence, and ethical leadership clearly established, Reuben remaining at the periphery, silent, absorbing the depth of transformation, the quiet triumph of dignity, patience, and strategic acumen, as the chandeliers reflected off polished surfaces and the room hummed with energy, the story of silent perseverance, meticulous planning, and a measured reclamation of influence fully realized, leaving an indelible impression of a legacy reshaped by intellect, respect, and unyielding determination, a new era of leadership and inherited power firmly established before all present. As the gala reached its apex, Kamaria stood poised before the assembled crowd, her eyes scanning the room with a calm intensity that commanded attention without a single raised voice, the chandeliers casting their warm light across the polished marble floors, glinting off the neatly arranged tables and the reflective surfaces of elegant crystal glassware, while Selma remained just behind her, an anchor of silent authority, her presence a steady reminder of the long years of careful preparation and strategic planning that had led to this moment. And the audience, composed of executives, investors, journalists, and industry leaders, hung on every word as Kamaria outlined the final elements of her vision, detailing operational expansions, innovative market approaches, and community initiatives that would solidify the influence and reputation of the enterprise for years to come. Her gestures precise and deliberate, moving with a grace that highlighted both competence and confidence, the room absorbing the intricate balance of intellect, strategy, and leadership she conveyed, while Reuben Jacobs remained at the periphery, the weight of realization pressing on him as he observed the effortless authority of the two women, The echoes of his own past dismissiveness now contrasted sharply with the compelling presence and commanding expertise displayed before him. And as Kamaria navigated questions from board members with clarity and diplomacy, the subtle nods and appreciative murmurs from the audience reinforced the undeniable shift of power, the atmosphere thick with admiration, awe, and an unspoken acknowledgement of the accomplishment before them, the soft hum of cameras capturing each moment, each deliberate turn of a page, each confident step, while the chandeliers reflected off the polished surfaces, creating a mosaic of light and shadow that emphasized the strategic and measured brilliance of the mother and daughter duo. And Selma's quiet smile, subtle yet profound, communicated both pride and the unspoken satisfaction of watching their patient, persistent journey culminate in a commanding display of intellect, influence, and dignity, as Kamaria summarized the final initiatives, highlighting key partnerships, upcoming projects, and the projected impact on the community and the industry, each point delivered with precision and authority, reinforcing the narrative of meticulous preparation, ethical leadership, and earned respect, the audience responding with discreet applause, gentle murmurs of admiration, and reflective nods that signaled both comprehension and appreciation, while Reuben stood silent, absorbing the full extent of the reversal. The realization settling that the influence he had assumed to be secure had shifted irrevocably to the hands of Kamaria and her mother, their combined presence a testament to resilience, strategy, and unwavering ethical strength. The light catching the contours of their composed expressions, the polished floors reflecting the authority, grace, and command that now defined the center of the room. And as the applause subsided into a respectful quiet, the sense of achievement, empowerment, and rightful reclamation lingered in the air, a palpable shift in the balance of leadership and recognition, leaving all present with the impression that the legacy of the enterprise had been irrevocably reshaped, guided by the intelligence, foresight, and dignity of those who had patiently, and with unwavering resolve, earned the place they now commanded. The evening air within the grand hall was charged with anticipation as Kamaria, poised and resolute, moved to the final stage of her presentation, the polished marble reflecting the golden light of the chandeliers above, while Selma remained behind her, a calm and steady presence, her eyes conveying a quiet satisfaction that spoke of years of patient planning, perseverance, and unwavering dedication. The audience of executives, investors, and industry leaders leaning in to absorb every detail, every carefully articulated point, the soft hum of cameras blending with murmurs of astonishment and appreciation, and Kamaria, with precise gestures and clear, confident speech, outlined the culmination of her vision for the empire, highlighting strategic expansions, innovative partnerships, and community-focused initiatives that demonstrated both ethical responsibility and business acumen. The charts, graphs, and projections meticulously displayed across the polished table capturing the attention of every observer. While Reuben Jacobs stood at the edge of the room, his posture tense yet restrained, the recognition of the shift in influence and authority settling heavily upon him. The memories of past dismissiveness and subtle mockery juxtaposed against the undeniable competence, intelligence, and presence now commanding the space. The room itself seeming to respond to the momentum of the presentation, whispers and subtle nods spreading in waves of approval. The chandelier light catching each thoughtful expression, each measured step, each calculated gesture. And as Kamaria navigated the probing questions from board members with eloquence, clarity, and diplomacy, the audience was left in no doubt of her capability, her strategic insight, and her capacity to lead, while Selma's composed stance reinforced the narrative of careful mentorship, guidance, and support that had enabled Kamaria's rise, the reflective floors and glinting glassware amplifying the visual impression of control, confidence, and elegance. And as the presentation drew to a close, the final slides projected a future of expansion, innovation, and responsible growth, the soft murmur of approval growing steadily, cameras capturing each decisive moment, and Reuben, absorbing the full scope of transformation, felt the weight of the lesson delivered silently yet profoundly by the two women before him, their presence a testament to resilience, intellect, and strategic foresight. The audience responding with polite, growing applause and appreciative glances, each gesture and expression reflecting acknowledgement of a legacy reshaped by patience, hard work, and unwavering moral strength. The soft glow from the chandeliers highlighting the poised figures, the polished surfaces reflecting their authority and influence. And as the last slide faded and the lights dimmed just slightly, the sense of a power and respect shifted irrevocably into the hands of Kamaria, and Selma resonated through the room, leaving all present with a clear understanding that the story of perseverance, strategy, and dignified triumph had reached a turning point, an inflection where leadership, authority, and legacy had been redefined, and the subtle energy of admiration, recognition, and awe lingered, suggesting the continuation of a narrative that would unfold in the days to come. The balance of influence now established, the empire poised for a future guided by intelligence, ethical leadership, and the unyielding strength of silent, yet undeniable determination. The lights in the gala hall softened, casting long, golden reflections across the polished marble floor as Kamaria concluded her final remarks, her voice steady and commanding, echoing softly against the high ceilings, while Selma Taylor, standing a careful step behind, radiated quiet authority and unwavering pride. The room filled with an audience that included executives, journalists, and industry leaders, all leaning forward in their seats, eyes wide, captivated by the combination of intellect, strategy, and poise that emanated from the two women. And as the subtle hum of cameras captured each meticulous gesture and calculated glance, Reuben Jacobs remained at the edge of the gathering, his posture tense yet composed, the weight of understanding pressing down as he recognized the full magnitude of the transformation before him. The echoes of past arrogance and dismissal resonating in contrast to the undeniable capability, presence, and strategic insight on display, and Kamaria moved seamlessly from one section of her presentation to the next, articulating the operational plans, corporate initiatives, and community engagement strategies that would secure a legacy built on ethics, innovation, and sustainable leadership. Her gestures precise, deliberate, and graceful, every movement reinforcing the clarity and authority of her words, while subtle nods and appreciative murmurs from the audience reinforced the undeniable shift in influence and respect, the polished floors reflecting the chandelier's light in a mosaic of brilliance that accentuated the confidence and competence of the mother and daughter team. And as questions arose from board members and industry experts, Kamaria responded with thoughtful, well-structured answers, her demeanor calm, measured, and unshakable, the room absorbing the depth of knowledge, foresight, and judgment she conveyed, while Selma's serene presence reinforced the narrative of patient preparation, guidance, and mentorship that had facilitated this remarkable ascent. And Reuben, observing the unfolding dynamic, felt a complex mix of recognition, astonishment, and reflective respect, acknowledging silently that the power, influence, and credibility he once assumed were no longer solely his to command, the chandeliers reflecting off the polished surfaces, illuminating the room with a warm glow that highlighted each deliberate movement, each calculated turn of a page, each confident step across the marble floor. And as Kamaria summarized the concluding portion of her strategic plan, the audience responded with polite, steady applause, low murmurs of admiration, and subtle gestures of approval, each signal reinforcing the commanding presence and legitimacy of their leadership, while Reuben stood quietly, absorbing the transformation with a mixture of awe and introspection. The subtle power of ethics, perseverance, and intelligence manifest in every gesture, glance, and carefully constructed argument. The room filled with an energy that spoke to the reshaping of authority, influence, and legacy, as the combined presence of Selma and Kamaria left an indelible impression, a silent testament to the efficacy of patience, strategy, and dignity. The polished floors and reflective surfaces amplifying the resonance of their accomplishment. And as the last slides and remarks faded from view, the murmurs and light applause lingering, the sense of a new era of leadership, respect, and inherited authority settled palpably within the room, leaving Reuben and all present to contemplate the irrevocable shift in power, the culmination of years of effort, resilience, and strategic foresight now fully realized before their eyes. A story of quiet triumph, meticulously earned influence, and the redefinition of legacy firmly established. As the final moments of the gala unfolded, Kamaria stood at the center of the polished marble floor, her posture unwavering, her expression calm yet commanding, the chandeliers casting a warm golden glow across the room, reflecting off crystal glasses and polished surfaces, while Selma Taylor remained a deliberate step behind, her presence a steady anchor of quiet authority and pride. Their combined energy subtly commanding the attention and respect of every executive, journalist, and industry leader present. And as Kamaria spoke with clarity and precision, outlining the long-term vision for expansion, innovation, and ethical leadership, the audience responded with nods, gentle murmurs, and discreet clapping, the atmosphere thick with recognition and admiration, while Reuben Jacobs observed from the edge of the room, the weight of the moment pressing on him as he reflected on the years of dismissive behavior and underestimation that had led to this irreversible shift of influence. The soft echo of his own misjudgments contrasting sharply with the measured, confident presence of the two women. And as Kamaria detailed the integration of new technologies, sustainability initiatives, mentorship programs, and corporate collaborations, each carefully explained with a balance of authority and humility, the room leaned forward, captivated, absorbing the implications of a redefined leadership that combined intellect, strategic foresight, and ethical responsibility, the polished floors reflecting each precise gesture, each controlled step, each deliberate glance, while the chandeliers highlighted the calm, yet compelling command in Kamaria's movements, and Selma's subtle but confident expressions reinforced the story of patient preparation and disciplined guidance, their silent coordination speaking volumes about the years of persistence, meticulous planning, and resilience that had brought them to this pinnacle moment. And as questions arose from board members and attendees, Kamaria answered with poise and clarity, navigating complex inquiries with ease, her reasoning logical, thoughtful, and persuasive, the room acknowledging her competence with quiet, appreciative murmurs, soft camera clicks, and reflective nods that reinforced the sense of irreversible influence and earned respect, and Reuben, absorbing the entirety of the presentation and the evident shift of authority, remained silent, the realization of a legacy reshaped by patient strategy and unwavering ethical leadership settling heavily upon him. While the chandelier's light accentuated the dignity and control of Selma and Kamaria, their presence filling the room with a sense of calm power, the polished surfaces echoing every gesture, every decisive movement, every deliberate turn of a page. And as the final slide illuminated the projected growth and the upcoming initiatives, the murmurs rose. In appreciation and recognition, the audience clearly witnessing the triumph of patience, resilience, and strategic brilliance, leaving Reuben to quietly comprehend the full magnitude of the reversal, the soft hum of admiration lingering in the space, a tangible acknowledgement of the transformation, and the evening closed with a sense of poised accomplishment, the subtle energy of dignity, intelligence, and influence marking an indelible turning point in the narrative of leadership, legacy, and the quiet yet undeniable triumph of those who had long been underestimated, their presence now defining the balance of power and the vision for the future of the enterprise.